Okay, so the first step in doing this is we have these little, I don't know if you can see it, but there's little lips where the printing, I don't know if these are actually pretty good. This one has them, and so what we're going to do is we're going to sand that off. So what I'm going to do is just take a sanding sponge. I'm just going to take this 220 sanding sponge and I'm going to lightly kind of go over these lips. I want to get that down a little bit. I don't want that to be... And actually, I think what I'm going to do is get a actual... I might even use a razor blade to cut some of that off, because you kind of want that to be smooth when you do it. Plus, I'm also gonna, this surface is fairly smooth, so I'm just gonna give all of this a little rough up before I glue it. So this will make the mechanical bond a little bit nicer. Like I said, you're just gonna, your object is not to do anything other than make this surface true and nice. And then you want to, you definitely want to get some sanding onto this, because you're going to be gluing it with CA, and I'll show you the glue I'm using. It doesn't take much. I mean, this is all pretty good already. So, and even if there's a little bit of a raise or something there, you know, you're gonna be spackling it anyway. So this is just to make it a little bit nicer. You know, it'll fit nicer. And that mechanical bond. So I'm going to do this with all of these pieces. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a sand, and then we'll glue them together. I got the, like I said, I got the last piece printing, so it should be done probably later tonight, and then I'll get this, you know, but I can get all this started, and we can get some we can get part of the mold glued today. It's actually doing a pretty good job. It's fairly smooth, and then we're just going to wipe all of this off, and we're going to give this a good wipe with to make sure there's no residual dust on there. So when we glue it, you know, hopefully it'll glue real nice. But see, there's a lip right here. So right here there's a lip, and you really want to try and get that off as much as you can. Yeah, see, so now you can kind of see it's nice, and there's a nice sand there. It's nice and sanded, so the glue will stick better. And then, so now what we're going to do is take a rag, and then I'm just going to wash all that off, and we'll start gluing these things into place. I don't even think I'm going to clamp it because it's small. If it was bigger, I would have some clamps in here and probably clamp it in there. But I don't even think I'm going to need it. Because I got this glue, AK Fix, and I got accelerator, so I think as soon as I spray it on there, I'll be able to really get. So I'm going to get a rag now, clean this stuff up. I'm using is a wet paper towel. I'm going to get some water on here, and I'm just going to kind of wipe this off, make sure there's no dust on it, and then dry it, and kind of just make sure all the dust is off, so that when we glue it, we're going to have a real nice surface, which will be dust free. And you know, we're going to sand this whole, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time on this, I don't think, because we're going to be sanding this whole thing anyway. We're going to be sanding, once it's glued together, we're going to be sanding it, the whole thing. So I'm just wiping some of the dust off of this from the sanding procedure. Make sure it's nice and clean. Yeah, and then it'll be, and now we're ready to glue. So now I am gonna just take them and put them like this, and then line them up, and hopefully you can see that. And so we're just gonna put some glue on here. We're gonna get this stuff ready. Like it comes in a little holder. We're going to get this stuff ready, and then we're going to get this thing glued. And let's see how that looks. Okay. Okay, well, here we go. Let's glue our first piece in. I'm going to try and use glue sparingly. I don't want it leaking out of everywhere, but I also want to make sure we've got a good bond here. I don't want this thing coming apart on us. So when we're, you know, we want enough in there. And let's see what it looks like when we put this on. So even that was a little too much. But there we go. Oh geez, I just got it on me. So let's kind of wipe that off. That's your excess. I mean, there's going to be some excess on there. So you're going to have some. So just try to get that thing, you know, you try to get it as perfect as you can get it. Like I said, we're going to be sanding this anyway. So looks really good from there. It looks really good. So now I'm going to hit it with the and that should be cured. Yeah, so that should be cured. Give it a nice shot. Now it should be, yeah, perfect. So now, so that's good. I was a little bit off with the, you can kind of see it in there, I was a little bit off. But again, I'm going to sand that and spackle that nice and smooth. So we'll do our next. So now we're going to start the mold prep. I'm not going to wait for that last piece. It's not going to be done till tonight. So I'm using 120 grit sandpaper. I don't know if you can see that. 120. Just got it at Ace. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and my goal is not to make this real smooth. It's just to take any of the print lines, knock them down a little bit, and then actually make this surface a little bit nicer for the paint. So what you can do is you're going to be listening for that whistling noise to kind of knock down a little bit. When that knocks down a little bit, that's kind of when you're going to know that your surface is getting okay, that it's getting actually Okay, so we're getting there. We'll do a little check here. You can kind of see that finish now. And that's kind of what you're looking for. It's a little roughed up. It's not real smooth. But it's knocked down the print lines a little bit. And yeah, we're going to just keep going. And there's a little lip right here. You can kind of hear it. You can feel it. So you want to try and get most of that out. Because the least amount of spackle you can use, the better. I mean, you're gonna be spackling this, but you want the least amount that you can get away with of that spackle. So this is already looking actually pretty good. After accept some spackle. We're gonna do the kind of the same thing we just did, where we now wash it out. We'll rinse it out with a towel. There's a lot of dust in there, and then it came out actually really nice. It's very, very decent. We'll see how much dust comes out of here. I don't think too much. I don't think I took too much off. But you can kind of see, you want to get all that out of there before you start putting your spackle down, and just make sure she's all dry and free of dust. And then let's I don't know, we could probably start putting some spackle in here. There's not, actually, man, it came out really, really nice. It came out, after sanding, there's very little, if any. I mean, there's a little ridge right here, which I could probably sand out a little more, but I think I'm going to put some spackle in them. Let's see how that works. I'm just using regular spackle. We'll get that in the mold, and we're just going to get that down in here and see what happens. Like I said, your goal is to use the least amount of spackle that you can, while still making it nice. Actually really coming out really good. Actually coming out really good. What I do need is something a little more pliable, and I have that for when we're not on the sides. The sides, this thing's working great. That, I don't even know that that needs it. It's perfect there. Really came out great. Not a lot of spackle needed at all, really, on this baby. This side I need a little bit. This side didn't come out as good as those other sides, but I'm just gonna really get that like that. And that'll be really nice how that turns out. So what I need is one of my flexible sanders. So I'm gonna go get that. Got a little flexible deal here for the bottom. And you can see I'm just laying that down. All I'm trying to do is eliminate the little ridges in there, and if I see a ridge, I'm trying to just put spackle on that so that it'll
So I won't have a big ridge coming out on the... a little bit of a ridge on the side there, which I'll try and probably sand that down more. But now that's good. So now I'm just going to let that dry. I'm going to let all that spackle dry. Once that spackle dries, we're going to come back through with sandpaper. We're going to come back through with sandpaper, and we are going to come back through with sandpaper so that we can make it even nicer. You'll see what the idea is there. I'm not really going to pay attention to the ridge here and here because this is an experiment. I mean, this one is not going to be the plane that I'm actually doing. So we've got one more piece to glue on here on the back. We've got one more piece to glue on here. But that's going to be good for now. I'll come back in a little while. I'll start sanding this again. I'm not going to paint it until I get the last piece on over here. Once I get this last piece on, I'll show you how how I'm going to spray paint it and how I'm going to sand this and finish this. But yeah, that's it for now, so stay tuned, and we'll be back once that spackle dries. I'm going to take some 320, and I'm going to knock down these areas with spackle, and just smooth those out. It'll really feel good. Oh yeah. Yeah, that came out great, actually. So this sandpaper is good. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take this and clean this off, and then I'll be right back, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all sanded. Here she is, sanded from the nose down to the tail. You can kind of see, if you can see in there, that's where the high spots were. I had a little too much here. I think I could probably sand that a little more, but I'm not going to do that. There was a few high spots, not bad. If you can notice, it's not really that bad as far as high spots. So now she's all sanded. I'm waiting for that last piece to print. Once that last piece prints, I'm going to get back. I'm going to glue that on to the back here, and then we'll sand that, spackle that, and we'll be ready to paint. Okay, so stay tuned. Here's the mold complete from the tail section all the way to the cockpit. It came out really nice. It's really smooth in here. I did give it another sanding just to... Hey, I want this one to be pretty good because my next one is going to be the one that I really lay up. So this one I'm going to do with, I'm going to do 2 layers of fiberglass. I'm going to do a 6 ounce and a 4 ounce. And then I'm going to put on the back and the front, I'm going to put carbon, 6 ounce carbon, just to see how it lays up. I did buy this 1601A. It's adhesive, so when I put the stuff on, I can actually tack it down, and it'll help hold the part in place. It'll help hold the layup in place. The mold came out super good. I mean, in fact, this back one right here, this joint, I don't even know if you can really even see it. It's so smooth. Actually, all of these joints are really smooth, except the front one was just a tad off, and that was me. That's the way I glued it. So, alright, stay tuned. I'm going to get going on this. I'm going to paint it up today. Since I have to paint outside, I'll probably paint it and then just bring it in to show you what I'm using and how I'm using it, and then that way you can just see. Okay, so alright, stay tuned. All I'm doing, I'm not spray painting in the house today, so I'm doing it outside in the garage because I got a heater out there. But here's my first layer of primer. It's the Rust-Oleum sandable fillable primer. Not perfect, but it's coming out pretty good. Now this is 1 coat, so I'm gonna do about 3 or 4 coats of this. I'm gonna let that dry really good. Once that's dry in about maybe an hour, I'm gonna put another coat on just to see where we're at.
And then I'm gonna probably put at least 3 coats on, and then I'll begin sanding it. 3 or 4 coats. And then I'll begin sanding, wet sanding it and getting it to, you know, be nice and smooth. We want this as smooth as possible so that when the mold comes out, it looks, it's nice. So, yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna put another couple coats on. I'll show you when I've got 3 or 4 coats right before I do the sanding. Here's our, I think I'm just gonna do 4 coats on this one. You can see it's really nice. Came out great. There's a little bit of imperfections in there, but again, this is my test mold. I'm working on the A350 right now, the big A350, which is only going to be 2.2 meters. I'm going to do a little smaller one. It's my first time trying, but I'm going to let this dry now, and then I'll come back and we'll do all the wet sanding, and we'll start sanding it and wet sanding it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take some 320. And I'm just going to start sanding this. I'm just going to knock the surface down a little bit. Not a bad surface right now, but I'm going to let this dry for a little while longer, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to start wet sanding. I'm going to use probably 1,000 grit. I think that's what I have. I think I might have got 600. All right, so we're starting. I wanted to get 800, but I got 600. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to use 600 at first. It's a little bit aggressive. This is the wet sanding. I already knocked it down with 320. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of wet sanding here. I'm going to try and knock this down a little bit. And okay, you get the picture. I'm going to keep sanding, and when I'm done, here's what you're looking at after you get the 600. You can kind of see in the light there, it's nice and shiny. It's not perfect yet. That's really smooth. I mean, it is really shiny. So we're going to let that dry, and that's kind of what you're looking for, that sheen on there. And then we're going to go with 1,000 and then probably 2,000. Or I'll see what it looks like after 1,000. I mean, if it looks good after 1,000, I'll leave it, and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll start, you know, preparing it for layup. Okay, so next up, we have 1,000 grit. I would have liked to have done 800, but I did 600 there. So I'm gonna do 1,000. 1,000. And we'll see what happens here. We'll see how she... I'll show you guys. I mean, it's really, really smooth. I mean, I don't know if you can even see that on the camera, but that's what you're looking for. That mirror finish. So I'm going to go to sanding. I'm going to shut it down. This is 1,000 grit. I may do 1,500 grit. I don't know. I'm going to see how it turns out after 1,000. Okay, I'm calling this done. And I'll keep as far as sanding goes. I went with 2,000 grit in there. And now you can really see the shine in there. I mean, it's like a... Man, is it smooth. So this is going to be really good for laying up. You can kind of see the shine in there. You can really see it. So the process was 320. Knocked it down. Oh, 4 coats of primer. 320 knocked it down. Used 600, 1,000, and then 2,000. And worked out really good. It came out really, really good. I think this is going to lay up really nice. Again, you can see that shine on there, and that's what you want to see. Okay, well, stay tuned. Tomorrow I'll lay this up and show you what I do with that. Okay, I was going to be done for the night, but what the hell, why not throw some wax on this baby? I'm going to do some waxing now. We're going to use the partial paste wax, and gonna do just a couple coats tonight, just to see how it looks with a few coats. I'll probably do 4 or 5 coats of wax. I really think you can't. I don't think you can go too heavy on the wax. I really don't. I really think the wax can be super heavy. So I'm gonna wax this whole thing. I'm actually probably gonna go get a rag for this. I don't know if a paper towel is the best for this waxing. But yeah, we're just gonna get a nice coat of wax on here, and we'll let her dry, and then we'll wipe it off. And like I said, we're probably gonna go with a few coats of wax. I would say at least I'm gonna say at least 4 coats of wax. We'll see. Again, this is an experiment. Never did it before, so I really don't even know what I'm doing. But oh yeah, nice thick coat of wax on here. And we'll let her dry. We'll let the wax dry, and then we'll give it a few minutes here, and she'll dry, and then we'll take that wax off. It looks really good. It came out really. I mean, I'm amazed at how good it came out, actually. And it wasn't really even that hard. Now, this is a very small mold compared to the one I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing 2.2 meter. So that's going to be pretty big compared to what this thing is. So, alright, the wax is real sticky. I'm going to get actually a rag, so stay tuned. Coats of wax in. And you can see it's even more shiny. I mean, this thing is really good. Super, I mean, it's just super smooth. So 2 coats of wax, I think that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to lay this up tomorrow with fiberglass and carbon. Like I said, I'm probably going to do the front and the back like 1/8 with carbon, just to see what it looks like. Yeah, and it came out really good, so stay tuned. I'll do the layup in tomorrow's video. But yeah, this came out really good. I'm hoping that, you know, when I transfer to the bigger one, it comes out just like this. This came out great. So you can see the mold prep, pretty straightforward. But we'll see what happens, you know, tomorrow when I lay it up. All right, stay tuned.